Alrighty guys, what's going on? Welcome back to a brand new video. So today I just kind of wanted to talk about a rumor that's been going around for a little bit. This has been going around for more than a year. I've heard this rumor I think I've first heard about this rumor back in like June of last year, so June of 2020. So the rumor is basically that NetherRealm Studios, which is the studio that develops and makes Injustice and Mortal Kombat. The rumor is that they are now working on a Marvel fighting game, and personally I'm pretty excited for it. I'm a big fan of Injustice. I'm not a big fan of Mortal Kombat. Like I know the games and I understand the characters, and honestly I think a Mortal Kombat character in Smash Bros would be kind of cool. But I'm not a huge Mortal Kombat fan in any way. But I do like their characters, and I do think that some of the characters are cool. But I've never really, I think half the reason why I'm not a big fan of Mortal Kombat is because I've never played a Mortal Kombat game. But I digress. I think I have played both Injustice 1 and Injustice 2, so I'm more familiar with the Injustice side of NetherRealm Studios, which I assume is what this Marvel fighting game would be more akin to. I don't think it'll be super violent or super bloody in the way that Mortal Kombat is. I think it would definitely stick to the more teen-rated Injustice roster. So, speaking of roster, that's basically what this video is going to be. I'm going to be going over I have 38 characters that I think would be a good fit for this rumored Marvel fighting game, whether it's real or not. These are just the 38 characters that I think would be the best picks. Well, maybe not just the best picks, but just my picks personally, I guess. So yeah, that's basically what we're going to be doing in this video. I saw a couple of videos on this last year that I thought were really interesting, but I just, kind of forgot about it. So now, once the rumors kind of picked up again here recently, I was like, okay, cool. I'll make a roster of characters that I think would be interesting. So I came to the number 38 from the two rosters. I looked at Mortal Kombat 11's roster, which has 37 characters, and Injustice 2's roster, which has 38. So I just rounded it up to 38. And on top of that, I have 5 DLC characters that I think would make a good kind of fighter's pass if we're kind of going with Smash Bros. Terminology. I know that for Injustice 2 there was 3 characters per pack, and there were 3 packs total. But I think that just having 1 pack of 5 is a safer bet for now than doing 3 packs of 3. Because I don't know, like if the roster's already 38, I'm not sure that they'll do that again. But I don't know, because 38, the Injustice 2 roster being 38 is 38 on top of the 3 packs. So anyway, yeah, so my roster for this rumored Marvel fighting game is going to have 38 base characters and 5 DLC characters. So yeah, let's get into it. So to start off, we're going to have obviously the Avengers. So we're going to have Iron Man, and if they're going to do premiere skins again, which I don't know if they did premiere skins in Mortal Kombat 11 or not, I'll go over. There are a few characters that I have premiere skins for that I think would fit pretty well. Not everybody. Some characters I think are just gonna have, like, realistically they wouldn't make a premiere skin for everybody. So for some characters they're just gonna be alt skins, like they'll be like costume skins, kind of in like the Injustice 2 vein. Like you have a couple of different characters like Godspeed for Flash, that's just an alt skin color, not necessarily like an entirely new model for Godspeed. So yeah, just kind of in that vein. But there are some characters that I have premiere skins for that I think warrant premiere skins. So we'll talk about those when I get to them. But like I said, starting off, we're going to start off with Iron Man, and he's actually the first one that has a premiere skin, and that's going to be War Machine. I just think that Iron Man, being as popular as he is, deserves a spot on this roster. And honestly, he's a pretty unique fighter just overall. He can be both up close and personal and projectile heavy, so I think that would work out pretty well. Up next, we have Captain America, which this would be kind of an example of what I was talking about with the premiere skins, where it would just be Captain America and not necessarily like they would have like maybe like a Bucky alt when he was Captain America, but it wouldn't be like a whole new model for Bucky as Captain America. And I guess now that Falcon Winter Soldier is over, this is going to be Steve Rogers Captain America, not Sam Wilson Captain America. But yeah, I think that Captain America would be really interesting in a Mortal Kombat Injustice type video game. Like the way that he would throw his shield, use different combos with the shield, I think would be really interesting. So yeah, I think that Captain America can be really cool. He would be, I don't know, maybe not like super projectile heavy, but definitely, he could definitely like put some distance between you and the enemy. So I think that would be really cool. Next up, the Hulk, obviously. You could argue that there could be a Red Hulk premiere skin, but I think that they would just kind of do a alt color personally, because I mean it's just a different color. You could do other Agents of Smash, I guess, like A-Bomb or Abomination maybe, but not Abomination being a member of Smash, but anyway, you could do different Hulk premiere skins, I guess, but in my opinion they would just kind of do Hulk, just baseline Hulk, and have the different references be the different colors and whatnot. So yeah, an interesting skin though that I think would be cool is having the gladiator suit from Thor Ragnarok. I think that would be really interesting. That's like my favorite Hulk design in the MCU is that the gladiator Hulk from Thor Ragnarok. I really enjoyed that skin, or that costume and that design. I really do. That's like honestly probably my favorite, like I said. But anyway, so Hulk, he would definitely be a heavy character, thinking like Darkseid or Gorilla Grodd from Injustice. Definitely a force to be reckoned with. So yeah. Next up, we're going to talk about Thor. He would be kind of in the same vein as Captain America, where he wouldn't be necessarily too zony with the hammer, but he would definitely be able to put some distance between you and the enemy. So I think that Thor would be really cool. You could have some different skin ideas, like for Ragnarok, you can have his gladiator suit to kind of go with Hulk's. You can have his classic suit. You can have the Infinity War Stormbreaker suit, which I don't know how they would necessarily, like, I guess Stormbreaker being a projectile wouldn't be that much more complicated to kind of skin over Mjolnir with, but anyway, I'm not sure that they would. You can maybe do the Endgame outfit, but that would be more of a different model premiere skin type thing. So yeah, but Thor, you could even do Lady Thor, or Jane Foster Thor, for Thor Love and Thunder, if this is coming out before then, which I don't know that it is. This is just a rumored thing, but anyway, yeah. So Thor being number 4 on the roster. Next up we have Black Widow. Again, she would kind of be more personal, like up in your face as a fighter than necessarily like compared to like Captain America and Thor. She would kind of be ahead of them, more in your face, but still able to like shoot her guns and whatnot. So I think that would be interesting as a fighter. For a few skin ideas, you can have Yelena Belova, or the white suit that she has in Black Widow. You can have references to that. I don't think that they would necessarily make a premiere skin for Yelena, so it's kind of where I got that from. But yeah, I think that those two are kind of a must-have if you're going to do Black Widow skins. 6th on the roster, we have Hawkeye, and this one I think is going to warrant a premiere skin in Kate Bishop. Now, Hawkeye I think would definitely be more zoner, definitely in the vein of Green Arrow from Injustice. But yeah, Hawkeye, you could have his classic comic costume, and you could have a couple of his MCU suits. His MCU suits so far haven't been necessarily the best for in terms of like comic accuracy, but they're like kind of they fit the real world I guess, of the MCU more. But yeah, his leaked Hawkeye suit that he posted on Instagram a couple days ago or whatever. I like his suit there, so they could honestly do that one, and that would be pretty cool. And then yeah, Kate Bishop is Kate Bishop. She's going to be the premier skin for Hawkeye. Yeah, I think that would be a good fit for her. So number 7, kind of getting out of the core 6 Avengers from the movies at least. At number 7 we have Spider-Man. Obviously, I'm always gonna pick Spider-Man to be on anything Marvel related. I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man, and this is another character that I think is gonna warrant a premiere skin. Well, maybe not a premiere skin now that I'm thinking about it, but you should definitely, there should be a Miles Morales alt, at least in some way, shape, or form. A premiere skin may be a little extreme for just a simple skin recolor, but I think that Miles definitely has grown in popularity enough that he needs to have a reference of his own in a costume for Spider-Man, but the base Spider-Man is still going to be Peter Parker. But yeah, I'm honestly, I think that they would do Spider-Man if they were going to do a Marvel fighting game. Like, that just kind of feels like something they have to have, I guess. But it would be a little interesting to see how they would do like the swinging and stuff. Like, you could definitely have, like, I'm kind of thinking like a Black Widow, where like instead of where Black Widow shoots her guns and whatnot from like not too far away, you have Spider-Man shoot his webs from kind of the same distance. But like you definitely need to have the swinging in there somehow. Maybe like when you like are backing up or something, like you do a backflip and like swing backwards or something. That would be cool. But there definitely needs to be swinging of some kind in there. Yeah, but I definitely think that Spider-Man, like, I know that Sony's got whatever, like, I know with Marvel's Avengers there was some big thing, like, Spider-Man is coming, but it's only on PlayStation, and, there's that whole debacle about exclusive characters and whatnot, but I definitely think that for a Marvel fighting game, like, Spider-Man needs to be there, kind of like how he, like in Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Switch, there just needs to be a Spider-Man of some kind. And I definitely think that they would attempt at least to do that and not make it exclusive, which I'm not sure why Marvel's Avengers is different, but anyway, that's a whole different topic. But anyway, coming in at number 8, we have Scarlet Witch. I'm also very biased towards Scarlet Witch. Spider-Man and Scarlet Witch are like 2 of my favorite Marvel characters of all time, so I'm always gonna pick those 2 if I'm picking anything Marvel related. But yeah, you could definitely have. She would be kind of mid to far ranged, I would think. Yeah, just kind of going on. Like, she can do different hex abilities and whatnot. She could be a really cool fighter, actually. I'm thinking something like, not necessarily like Enchantress from Injustice, but like something in that kind of vein, but definitely more projectile heavy than Enchantress was, I would think. But I can definitely see them kind of taking stuff from Enchantress and using it on Scarlet Witch if they were gonna kind of reuse assets, which I don't know that they would, but yeah, I could definitely see them kind of doing something like that. But yeah, for a couple of skin ideas, you could have obviously the suits from Age of Ultron and then Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame, those suits, and then you could have the kind of 50s, 60s aesthetic, the black and white filter, I think would be a really cool skin. And then you could have the brand new Scarlet Witch costume that was in the finale of WandaVision. There's a lot that you could do with Scarlet Witch costume-wise, which is another main reason why I put her so high up on the list so far. She was one of the first characters I thought of when I was kind of thinking of different things I could do for each character. So, yeah, Scarlet Witch would be really interesting, and I think that she should be on the roster. So, yeah, and then at number 9 we have Quicksilver, similar to Scarlet Witch taking similar to them, maybe taking stuff from Enchantress to use on Scarlet Witch. I definitely think that they could take some stuff from Flash from Injustice and put it on Quicksilver, but there's a lot of like Flash specific stuff in his moveset that he does, so I'm not sure that they would. But anyway, I think that Quicksilver is definitely a character that's been underutilized in a lot of Marvel games. I don't think there's been a Marvel fighting game or just a Marvel game in general that Quicksilver's been in. At least that comes to mind. Like I know he wasn't in Ultimate Alliance 3. At least that's like the most recent one that I have that I'm kind of thinking of. I'm sure he might have been in like an X-Men game, but I don't know. Anyway, I think that Quicksilver. It's time for Quicksilver to shine. Because Quicksilver is one of my favorite Marvel characters as well, but it's just kind of sad that they've kind of put him on the back burner for all these years. Like, I don't know. It kind of makes me sad. He's a really cool character, but they just, they killed him off in Age of Ultron. He's not necessarily all that good in the X-Men movies from what I've heard. He's very not that he's not good, but he's underutilized in the X-Men films from what I've heard. I haven't seen any of them, but yeah. Anyway, for some skin ideas, you could have the Age of Ultron skin. You could have the Evan Peters suit from Days of Future Past and all of that. And then you can of course have the classic, the comic book outfit. So I think that there's maybe less Quicksilver stuff. You could have like a speed reference. You can make it just like a green alt and have like a speed reference. That could be cool. There's not as many skin options for Quicksilver comparative to some of the other characters we talked about, but I definitely think that Quicksilver needs to be on the roster. Plus, he's one of the only speedsters, and I just love speedster characters, and I think that they're really cool. In fighting games, especially like in Injustice. I main the Flash in Injustice, so I really enjoyed that. Coming in at number 10, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm thinking this is kind of going to be something like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles situation where you can kind of switch back and forth, but I know with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Injustice 2, they're just different special moves. Like you pick one specific one and then they're different special moves. I think it'd be kind of cool if you can maybe switch them out mid combat. I think that would be really interesting. I think that's something that Marvel vs. Capcom does, where you can have 3 on one team and then you switch freely between them whenever you want. I'm not sure. Like I've never played a Marvel vs. Capcom, but I'm pretty sure that's how that works. But I definitely think that that's something that they should apply to Ant-Man and the Wasp if they were going to do that. They have pretty similar powers and abilities, I guess. The only difference would be Ant-Man would be definitely more all up in your face because he doesn't have any projectiles like the Wasp has. So I think that would be kind of the only main difference. So it wouldn't necessarily be too difficult to it wouldn't be broken to have them switch in and out, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like it might, not be like tournament legal or whatever if you could switch back and forth, but like going off of like Pyra and Mithra, like they're tournament legal still from Smash Bros. So anyway, I think that the Ant-Man and the Wasp could be a really cool duo team that could switch back and forth. I think that would be really cool and definitely something I could see. They could take assets from the Atom from Injustice 2 to kind of do the small ability and whatnot. And yeah, some of the skins you can have like the MCU suits, of course, the comic book suits, the Hank Pym suits, the Janet Van Dyne suits. There's a couple more options with the Ant-Man and the Wasp suits than like say Quicksilver or something. So yeah, so that's number 10, Ant-Man and the Wasp. At number 11, we have Wolverine. Similar to Spider-Man, Wolverine's just kind of a staple in Marvel games, I would think. I think that if you're developing a Marvel game, the first 2 characters you got to think of are Spider-Man and Wolverine. But yeah, so this is also another X-Men character. I don't necessarily I'm not too familiar with the X-Men, so I don't have too many X-Men characters on here, but I tried to include enough X-Men characters on here that I think that you guys would be satisfied with it. The Wolverine I think would be really cool. He would definitely be like a all up in your face character for sure. And yeah, like some of the costumes, you could have the comic book costume, of course, the classic. You could have Old Man Logan would be an interesting skin. You can maybe do an X-23 Premier skin, but the height difference would be a little less warranting of a Premier skin and more making X-23 a separate character, but X-23 is not on my list, so sorry about that. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff you could do for Wolverine, and I definitely think that, like I said, if you're developing a Marvel fighting game or just a Marvel game in general, the first two characters you got to think of are Spider-Man and Wolverine. So yeah, Wolverine is number 11. And number 12, and actually we're just going to talk about all of these together. 12 through 15 is going to be the Fantastic Four. So at 12 we have Mr. Fantastic. At 13 we have Invisible Woman. At 14 we have Human Torch. And at 15 we have The Thing. I'm including all of the Fantastic Four because I just love the Fantastic Four, first off. And then second off, they all have different abilities, like they're just vastly different abilities that I think that they warrant, each having their own slot and whatnot. Whereas we'll talk about this later, but I have a couple of Guardians of the Galaxy characters. I did not include every Guardian of the Galaxy because I didn't think that, like, unlike the Fantastic Four, they're just not interesting enough and don't have cool enough powers, I guess, to warrant different characters being on this roster, but we'll talk about that here in when I get to the Guardians of the Galaxy characters. But for now, the Fantastic Four, I just, like I said, I love the Fantastic Four, and I think that all of them deserve to have a spot on this roster. Mr. Fantastic could be both. He would be a very versatile fighter, both in your face and kind of a zoner in his own way. Invisible Woman could be really cool. I'm not sure that they would necessarily go all out with the invisible feature. Like, you would definitely still have to have like an outline of her character in a fighting game, but she could have some really cool abilities for sure. Human Torch, just kind of shooting fire, very Firestorm-esque in a way. And then the Thing could definitely be like a Hulk type character, where he's definitely like a big guy, kind of Gorilla Grodd type character for sure. Some of the alt skins you could do for each of these, you could definitely do the Future Foundation suits for Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, and the Thing. That they would definitely be kind of the number one skin, I would think, if you were going to do an alt skin for the Fantastic Four. And then depending on what kind of movie suits they're going to do for the new Fantastic Four movie, you could definitely do those suits. You could definitely do the old 2000s the Fantastic Four suits if you wanted to. I would not do the 2014 Fant Four stick suits because those are just not good. But yeah, anyway, so that's the Fantastic Four. I think the Fantastic Four deserve a spot on this roster, all four of them. I think that they are all each warranting their own spot on this roster. So at number 16, we have Deadpool. Deadpool would just kind of be like that kind of talk your ear off in the middle of fighting character. I can definitely see him just kind of cracking jokes in the middle of battle. And also the starting interaction if he met himself would be really interesting. So yeah, you could definitely do the X-Force costumes. You could do just the classic red and black Deadpool suit. There's a lot of different Deadpool suits you could do. You could even do Lady Deadpool as a skin. Gwenpool as a skin would be interesting. There's a lot of different Deadpool skins that you could do. If you really wanted to, you could do maybe I don't know that they would necessarily do this, but I just kind of thought of this off the top of my head. They have the different Deadpool skins in Fortnite that they may make reference to or bring over to this game, but I don't think they would. Now that I'm kind of thinking about that out loud, but I just kind of thought of that right now, so thought I'd mention it. But yeah, Deadpool would be an interesting character for sure. And yeah, so moving on to our first villain, actually, we have Magneto. When you're kind of thinking about classic Marvel villains, Magneto kind of shoots to the top of the list, in my opinion. So Magneto is definitely a character that I think is warranting a spot on this roster. He would kind of be kind of like Scarlet Witch in a way, where like you use a lot of projectiles, kind of, but you could definitely still do up close and personal stuff with Magneto. Some skin ideas: you could have the helmet on and the helmet off. You could have the the Days of Future Past suit, and then kind of the old school X-Men suit. There's a lot of different Magneto stuff that you could do, and honestly, I just think that Magneto deserves a spot on this roster because he's just a really cool character and a really cool villain. So, yeah, he definitely deserves a spot here. Coming in at number 18 is going to be a new character that's going to be introduced in the MCU this September, and that's going to be Shang-Chi. I definitely think that once the movie comes out, I'm not sure how big of a hit it'll be. I'm kind of expecting it to be less of a hit than Black Panther was, but still like a decent sized hit. Like I'm not expecting it to like fail or anything, but I definitely think that it won't, maybe not be as popular as Black Panther. I hope I'm wrong though, because it looks really good from the trailer so far. Yeah, that first trailer I actually really enjoyed. So yeah, I definitely think that once that movie comes out, Shang-Chi will definitely have a huge spike in popularity. So I just wanted to go ahead and add him to this roster because I figured that if this game were real, it's not coming out for a year or two. So by then, Shang-Chi will definitely have made his way onto people's radar. So yeah, so Shang-Chi. He's definitely a big fighting character. Like he's a big brawler type character. So he's definitely going to be an in your face character. Now I don't know a whole lot about Shang-Chi, so I don't really know a whole lot about like the different costumes and whatnot. So I don't really know much about alt costumes and whatnot. But I think that when I was making this list, I was like, yeah, I can definitely see them. If this game's coming out, like I said, in a year or two, they could definitely do a Shang-Chi character on this roster, and it would be like, people would be excited to see it because they've seen the movie and they like the character. So yeah, I definitely think that Shang-Chi, if this is coming out in a year or two, rumored, this is all still speculation, but I definitely think that he will have a popular enough fan base that he would warrant a spot on this roster. Maybe he might be DLC. If they're kind of developing it now, I imagine they've kind of gotten the roster all settled. So maybe he's not going to be base roster, but he could be DLC. That could be interesting as well. But for me, personally, I would put him on the base roster. Coming in at number 19, we have another villain. We have Venom, very Spider-Man type character, but definitely more. He would have some Spider-Man moves, but definitely be more akin to the Thing or the Hulk in like terms of size. And yeah, you could definitely do a Carnage alt skin. Some of the different Riot maybe from the Venom movie. You could have the Venom movie skin and then the Venom classic skin. There's a couple of different alt skins for sure that you could do with Venom, and then now that I'm thinking about it, you can go back with Spider-Man for some of the alt skins. You could do the symbiote suit for sure. But yeah, for Venom, there's not a whole lot more I could really say. He's kind of a mix between Spider-Man and the Hulk, so kind of get that image in your head if you want. Coming in at number 20, this is going to be not necessarily controversial, but this is a character that I think would be really cool in a Marvel fighting game. You have Mysterio. I know that I've kind of hindered towards Spider-Man villains here, and actually 21 doesn't help that. But anyway, I think that Mysterio would be a really cool character in a fighting game like this. You could have different maybe like illusions or something. Like you can teleport around the stage or whatever. You could have different robots or something come in. You can have drones come in and like fire at your enemy while you're fighting him. Because at the end of the day, Quentin Beck's just a dude. So you could definitely just have like you can have him rely solely on his illusions and his tech, and then once you kind of get past all of that, he could be like a really like easily taken down character. So I think that would be really interesting. He can teleport around, like I said. He could use different mists and illusions. I think the Mysterio could be a really cool character in a fighting game like this. You could have the Ultimates Mysterio costume, the Ultimate Comics Mysterio costume for something like this. I think that the MCU's version of Mysterio, where he's like in a mocap suit with the fishbowl, could be really interesting as well. And then of course you could have the classic Mysterio costume as well. So anyway, honestly, Mysterio has been one of my favorites to kind of think about on this roster. So I'm really that's really why I gave him a spot, because I was like, yeah, Mysterio could be a really cool character in a fighting game like this. So yeah. And then speaking of Spider-Man villains, we have Green Goblin at number 21. It kind of goes in the same vein of, if you're thinking of characters to include that are kind of Marvel icons, Green Goblin's kind of up there for the villains roster. I think the Green Goblin and Magneto are kind of some of the more recognizable villains for sure. So yeah, I'm not sure how you would necessarily do the glider. I know that he uses the glider a lot. I don't know that you would necessarily, that might be like his finisher move. You can do something like that on his glider. Or maybe you can just have him like hover off the ground with it or something. I don't know. But there's a couple of different options you could do for Green Goblin. He wouldn't necessarily be the most interesting character to make or develop, I think, but I definitely think that there definitely needs to be a spot on the roster for him. So yeah, for some of the alt skins you could do Green Goblin for sure, like the classic skin. You could do Hobgoblin. You could do the Sam Raimi suit for sure. I wouldn't necessarily go Amazing Spider-Man Green Goblin route, just because it's not all that good looking, if I'm being honest with you. But there's still a lot of different options you can have for Green Goblin. So yeah, I definitely think, like I said, he wouldn't necessarily be the most interesting character to have on this roster, but I definitely think that he would warrant a spot for sure. Coming in at number 22, we have Thanos. I was kind of thinking about kind of classic Marvel villains at this point, and I think that Thanos has definitely surged his way to the top after Infinity War and Endgame. So yeah, I definitely think that Thanos deserves a spot on this roster. Plus, after looking at the roster for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Thanos is on there twice. So I think that Thanos has kind of surged in popularity for sure. But yeah, I would imagine that he would have all 6 Infinity Stones at this point. The ending, actually, I don't know that this might be a little hard to develop, but like his finisher, you could have him snap, and then there's like a 50-50 chance where your character turns to dust or your character doesn't turn to dust. I think that would be like a really cool kind of finisher move. Like you have to, like a chance finisher. I've always thought that chance finishers were really cool, because it's like, well, this is either going to work really well or it's not going to work at all. So I really think that would be interesting. He could have he would definitely be like a Hulk in your face type character, but he would definitely still have the projectile stuff with like the Power Stone and the Reality Stone and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know how all out they would go for the Infinity Stones, but it's definitely something that they should include if they're gonna do Thanos. Which I think I would bet that they would do Thanos if they were gonna do if they're actually doing this. I would bet that Thanos is on this roster in some way, shape, or form. Maybe like a pre-order bonus, like Darkseid was for Injustice 2, but Thanos will be on this roster if I'm taking bets. So yeah, you could do the two suits that we see in Infinity War, and then the suit we see in Endgame, where it's him less armored and then more armored. You could do the comic suit. I think the Farmer Thanos from the comics would be really interesting, where he's just wearing like an undershirt. I think that would be funny. So yeah, I think that Thanos definitely deserves a spot on this roster, and he's kind of forged himself into this iconic villain through the MCU. So yeah, coming in at 23 we have Loki. And he's another one of these characters that I think would be a fan requested character, and he's popular enough that I think he deserves a spot on this roster. He could do a lot like Mysterio, kind of make clones of himself, illusions of himself, and then kind of go in for the kill. And yeah, so I think that Loki would be a really interesting character to make a fighting character out of in a fighting game like this. For a couple of the suits, you could have the Loki suit from Thor, from the first Thor, I should say. You could have the Loki suit from Ragnarok. You could have the Time variant suit from the new Loki show that's coming up. There's a lot of different options you could do with Loki costume-wise that makes him stand out. So, yeah, I think that Loki would definitely be an interesting character for this roster. Going back to some more heroes for a minute, we have at 24 we have Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is one of those characters that I think kind of is another staple of you gotta have this on your Marvel roster. And yeah, honestly, I kind of agree with it. She would definitely kind of be a more in-your-face fighter, but definitely still have projectiles and stuff. So yeah, Captain Marvel, you can have let's see, you could have the Veer suit from Captain Marvel, the movie. You could have the Endgame suit. You could have her just classic suit. The scene in Captain Marvel where the young Monica is kind of messing with the suit colors could be a neat little Easter egg if you wanted to do suit colors based off of that scene. That would be really interesting. But yeah, I definitely think that Carol Danvers has kind of made a name for herself in the last couple of years and definitely deserves a spot on the roster. So coming in at 25 is a character that another kind of overlooked character, but one of my favorites, Doctor Strange. Well, he may not be as overlooked as he used to be, but he definitely has grown in popularity because of the MCU. But I definitely feel like they may cut him from the roster if they were going to do a roster. I don't know why. Like, there's a part of me that's always going to be like, yeah, they might not do Doctor Strange, And there's always just going to be that part of me that kind of thinks that way. But he would be a lot like Scarlet Witch and Magneto in a way where he kind of is more projectile heavy, He's definitely going to sit back and cast spells at you more so than get all up in your face and fight you. So yeah, you could do the MCU suit for sure. There's a couple of different comic suits that Doctor Strange has that I don't know the names of that would be really cool. Yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about all costumes for Doctor Strange, but yeah, he would definitely be a main. In my opinion, he would be a must-have on the roster, but I can definitely see them maybe cutting him, which is a little sad. But I definitely think with Doctor Strange 2 coming up next year, I definitely think that if it was coming out next year, they would need to have Doctor Strange on there. Coming in at number 26, we have Jean Grey and or the Phoenix. I think that maybe a mid-transition, like you build up a meter or something and then she turns into the Phoenix, would be kind of the best way to do the best of both for Jean Grey. She would, again, kind of be like the Scarlet Witch type character where she uses more of her psychic abilities more so than gets all up in your face and fights you personally. So, yeah, and then you could do different... I don't really know that they would do necessarily different costumes. I think that there would be different colors for Jean Grey and the Phoenix costumes more so than them doing different alt costumes. So, yeah. So that's 26, Jean Grey. At 27, we have Black Panther. This is another character that I definitely think is a staple that you need to have now. Black Panther is just one of those incredibly popular characters, and he's a lot like Wolverine. He'll be all up in your face, a quick fighter for sure. There's a ton of different costumes you could do. You could do the MCU suit from Civil War, the MCU suit from Black Panther. You could even do the Killmonger suit if you wanted from Black Panther. You could do the comics costume with the cape. That would be really cool. I feel like that would maybe be the starting suit, because I think it would be a whole lot easier to develop a skin that doesn't have the cape compared to developing a skin that has a cape when the base character doesn't. So I think that would be way easier to make. But I definitely think that there should be at least a skin that has the cape and a skin that doesn't have the cape. I think that's a good. Those are kind of the two big Black Panther type suits. So that's what I would do. I would have one have the cape and then one without the cape for sure. If I was doing alt skins at least for Black Panther. So moving on, at number 28 we have Miss Marvel here. She would kind of be a Mr. Fantastic type character with the way she elongates and whatnot, but I definitely think that they can make her different enough that she warrants her own spot on the roster. Plus, she'll probably grow a whole lot more in popularity after her TV show comes out, and we've had a huge spike in Miss Marvel popularity after the Marvel's Avengers game already. So, I definitely think that there is room for Miss Marvel to still grow, but I definitely think that she could definitely be a base character on this roster for sure. Coming in at 29, we have Daredevil. Daredevil is just a really cool character, and I don't know how they necessarily do the whole make you feel like you're like he would just kind of be your standard brawler. I'm thinking he could have some of his sonar abilities, but not sonar abilities, but I'm not even sure how they would do his abilities in the game. But I definitely think that Daredevil's a cool enough character, and one of those characters that if he's not on, I definitely think that there would be a pretty big fan outcry for him to be included. But I think he might be, now that I'm kind of thinking about it more, he might be like a Beast Boy type character from if you were around when Injustice 2's DLC was still going on. There was a lot of fan outcry for Beast Boy, and everybody was like, "Oh, Beast Boy! We just really want Beast Boy," but they never did Beast Boy. I feel like that may be a Daredevil type character, but honestly, for Beast Boy, I think he was a little bit harder to develop than Daredevil would be. I just think that Daredevil, kind of thinking about it, would just kind of be like a standard brawler. I'm not sure how they would necessarily adapt his abilities in a fighting game like this. I might have to go back and watch, because I know he's in Ultimate Alliance 3. I might have to go back and play Daredevil a little bit more in Ultimate Alliance 3 to kind of see how they did it. And I don't know, is he in another, he may be in a Marvel versus Capcom or something like that. I don't know. I'll have to go back and check, but I definitely think that Daredevil, he's the only defender I have on here. So I definitely think that he deserves a spot on this roster. But yeah, so that's Daredevil. Coming in at number 30, we have Claw, Ulysses Claw. I was kind of thinking of more villains to add, and definitely a villain for Black Panther for sure. You could do a lot with the robotic arm, and then you could have, of course, the comics costume, and then the MCU suit. I don't know that you could. I'm sure that Andy Serkis would let you have his likeness for this. But yeah, speaking of which, it's a shame that they killed off Claw and Black Panther. It's kind of like a big downside for me. I hate when Marvel kind of kills off characters after a couple appearances. But anyway, that's a different topic. Yeah, so Claw could definitely be a really interesting character, and definitely a cool Black Panther villain for sure. Coming in at 31, you have Kingpin. Again, another Hulk thing-sized character. Maybe not as big as the Hulk or the Thing, but definitely larger than most other characters for sure. I was kind of thinking of other villains for sure, and I thought, Daredevil, Kingpin, just kind of seemed like they go hand in hand. Same thing, you can say that SpiderMan, Kingpin go hand in hand as well. There's a lot you could do with Kingpin as well, but he would definitely just kind of be your standard big brawler guy, very akin to a Hulk or Thing type character. Yeah, but I definitely think that Kingpin deserves a spot on this roster as well. Just because we have the Hulk and the Thing, but and Thanos, but you can never have too many heavy characters for sure. Coming at 32, we have Ultron. I think that Ultron, I was kind of thinking of another Iron Man type character. He would definitely be not necessarily an Iron Man clone, but definitely akin to Iron Man in the way that his moveset works and whatnot. And yeah, you could definitely have the MCU suit, or the MCU not suit, but like the MCU version, and then the MCU or the comics, I should say. You could have the comics suit for sure. For Ultron. At 33, this is another character that's going to spike in popularity coming up here in the next couple of years. We have Blade. Blade is an interesting character for sure. Now I'm looking at my roster. I might change a character here at the end. But anyway, Blade is really interesting as a character. He would definitely be your sword fighter, your typical swordy character. I'm thinking like maybe like a Robin from Injustice 2 type character where he uses the sword. But yeah, you could definitely do a lot of different alt skins for Blade for sure. Well, maybe not too many alt skins, but there's a heavy amount of options for alt skins for Blade. But I definitely think for Blade it would definitely be just more recolors than alt skins for sure. Coming in at 34, we have the Falcon. From 34 to 38, I was kind of having trouble deciding on which characters I would want to include. I wasn't originally going to include Falcon on the roster, but I was thinking, he's grown in popularity enough now, especially now that Sam's become Captain America and Falcon and Winter Soldier, that he would warrant a spot on this roster. But the thing is that I was reluctant to put Falcon on this list and not Sam Wilson Captain America. But I think that, Falcon himself, I think that Falcon, I think that that Sam, at least so far, is still very recognizable as just the Falcon. So I think that him being on a roster like this, if this has been in development for 2 or 3 years at least, I definitely think that they wouldn't do Sam Wilson Captain America, but they could do Falcon Captain America, or they could do just the Falcon, I should say. So that's kind of where I was kind of thinking. I was kind of thinking that they would, if this is, like I said, if this has been in development for 2 or 3 years, then they would only do Falcon and have Steve Rogers be Captain America still. So that's kind of where I was thinking with this one. Yeah, so Falcon would just be Falcon in this if I was going to do it. That's kind of why he's at the bottom of my list. I went back and forth multiple times trying to think of whether or not I would include Falcon or not. I did, obviously, but I don't know. I'm still kind of iffy about him because I would want to include him as Captain America, and maybe they could do something where you could have both standard Falcon and Captain America Falcon, but I think that would be a little too hard to develop. So for now, for me at least, he's just going to be Falcon, not Captain America. And for some of the alt skins, you could have his Winter Soldier suit, and then his end of Phase 3 into Phase 4 suits. The red and white suit from Falcon Winter Soldier would be cool. Same thing, like the comic suit would be interesting. So there's a lot of different things you could do with Falcon. But yeah, I kind of went back and forth on him, like I said. Coming in at 35, we have Juggernaut. I was kind of thinking of more X-Men characters to include, and I think Juggernaut, kind of being a heavy on the villain side for the X-Men would be a good inclusion. And he's a good foil to Deadpool because they have beef or whatever in Deadpool 2. I haven't seen Deadpool 2, but yeah, yeah, I know that he's in there at least, and he's just a good X-Men villain for sure. So I'm not sure a whole lot about different costumes you could do for Juggernaut, but I'm sure that it would be A-OK. And coming in at 36 is actually our only Guardians of the Galaxy character. I originally included Star-Lord on this list, but took him out for another character. But at 36, we have Rocket and Groot. I think that they're the most iconic of the Guardians of the Galaxy team. And definitely, I think if you were going to pick any character to have a spot on the roster, it would be Rocket and Groot. Now, the reason I didn't include every Guardians of the Galaxy member is because I don't think that they all have cool enough movesets that could be translated into a fighting game like this. Rocket and Groot would definitely... I wouldn't say that would be like Ant-Man and the Wasp where you could switch them out. It would be Groot and then Rocket on his shoulder. I think that would be an interesting type of character where you could have different projectiles. You could have like Groot extending his arm, and then you could have like Rocket shooting his blaster and whatnot. I think that would be a more interesting character than say like Gamora, who could be very much like a Blade type character where she just uses the sword, or Drax where he uses his knives and whatnot. I just think that Rocket and Groot are the most interesting out of the Guardians of the the core Guardians from the movies, at least, which is where I think they would go if they were going to do them. Any version of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, my second pick, if I was going to pick another Guardians of the Galaxy member, would actually be Yondu, because I think the arrow projectile would be interesting, but Yondu's not on this list. So at number 36, we have Rocket and Groot. At 37, we have Vision. I, again, was reluctant to put Vision on this list just because I didn't think that he would be super interesting as a fighter, but I think he's definitely grown enough of popularity that he could warrant a spot on this list. Plus, there's just I was thinking back, and there's a whole lot of different cool skins you could do now, especially after WandaVision. You can have the human Vision. You can have the Infinity War suits. Well, I guess just his standard suit. I guess you could have White Vision from the end of WandaVision. There's a whole lot of cool stuff you could do with Vision. He wouldn't necessarily, like Green Goblin, be like the most interesting fighter to develop, but I definitely think that he deserves a spot on the roster. Now that I've kind of thought it over and thought about it some more, I definitely think that he's been here long enough that I definitely think that he deserves a little love. Coming in at 38 now. This is the last character of the base roster. We have Dormammu, and I was thinking about Doctor Strange villains, and I just kept coming back to Dormammu. I kept thinking, Brother Voodoo could be cool, Mordo could be cool, but I don't know. I just there's something about Dormammu that just he's just cool. He's Dormammu. He's got a funny name. He's just an interesting character. So. I'm not too keen on what Dormammu could necessarily do that could be different from Doctor Strange, but they made it work in a couple of other fighting games, a couple of other Marvel games, so I'm sure that they could figure it out here. But I think that Dormammu is the best, at least at this point. I don't know who they got to be the villain of Doctor Strange 2. That might be a better villain character, but at least for now, Dormammu is the Doctor Strange villain that I would pick, and the last pick to round out the 38 on the roster. Now, let's talk DLC. We have 5 DLC characters. Again, I'm not sure that this is necessarily how they would do DLC, because with like Injustice, I'm not too keen on the Mortal Kombat 11 DLC roster. I know that there have been multiple packs and whatnot, but I know at least for Injustice 2 there was different. There was 3 sets of 3, so I'm not sure how they would do it. But for now, I have 5 extra DLC characters that I just thought that 5 was a good number. But anyway, let's get into it. So at 39, we have the Winter Soldier, and again, this is not necessarily like your most interesting character. He would definitely just be like a gun and knife type character. But I definitely think that Winter Soldier is a big enough character now. Especially after Falcon and Winter Soldier, that you could have that he warrants his own spot. But I didn't see him really adding anything to the base roster. So I think that he would definitely be like people would be more accepting of him if he was a DLC character, you know. So I definitely think, you know, there's always that one kind of standard DLC character, and for me that's going to be Winter Soldier. You could have couple different costumes for him. You know, you get the classic actual Winter Soldier look. You got the Infinity War Bucky look. There's a whole lot of different costumes you could do for Winter Soldier for sure. Coming in at 40 is another personal favorite duo of mine. We have at number 40 we have Cloak and Dagger. They would be super interesting, I think. They would kind of be they would kind of have to both be on stage at once, but you could transition between them. Like the way that I would see it is, if you play Smash Bros, the way that Ash stands in the background of the stage while the Pokemon fight, the actual fight. What you could do is press, you know, like a command button and then have Cloak kind of switch them out, because he can, you know, teleport people around. You could have Cloak kind of, if Cloak was standing in the background of the stage, he could teleport Dagger out and then fight himself, or vice versa. He could, you know, if he wanted Dagger to fight, he could just teleport back. You know, there's a couple of different cool options that you could do with the way that they would both interact with each other. You know, kind of transitioning back and forth, and the way that they would fight. Now they would be a little bit more broken, I think, than Ant-Man and the Wasp would be, but I think that they're a cool enough character that I think that they could make it work if they really wanted to, and they're just personally a fan favorite of mine. So, yeah, Cloak and Dagger at number 40. At number 41, we have Kang the Conqueror. He's another villain that I was kind of thinking of. I definitely wanted another villain on here for sure. I don't know a whole lot about Kang, but I know that he's going to be in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. So he's a good Ant-Man villain just based off of that movie, and then he's going to be I know he's a good Fantastic Four villain for sure. So there's a couple of different options you could do with Kang for sure. I'm not a big Kang enthusiast, or I don't know a whole lot about Kang, but I definitely think that Kang is a big enough villain and will be a big enough villain that he deserves a spot on the roster, at least in some way, shape, or form. So that's why I included him as DLC. Coming in at 42, we have Black Bolt from the Inhumans, and I don't know. I was just kind of thinking, like they may have fumbled the ball with the Inhumans TV show, but the Inhumans are still cool enough characters that they should, at least try to keep the franchise alive, I think. So yeah, Black Bolt kind of being the main Inhuman in a way, besides Miss Marvel, I guess. Yeah, I like Black Bolt would definitely be the main Inhuman. If they were gonna do like the Inhumans of Attilan, So anyway, Black Bolt would be pretty interesting. I'm not sure how he would he would have a lot of sonar abilities. I'm thinking more Black Canary character for sure. So something like that. Even though he doesn't speak a lot, so they would have him speak a lot, which may be out of character, but I think they can make it work in some way, shape, or form for Black Bolt. Now I would definitely stick to the comic appearances. I would not go anywhere near the Inhumans TV show if I was them for all costumes, because it's just not good. So yeah, let's move on. So and then the final character is a character that's rumored to be in Shang-Chi, and I wanted a Shang-Chi villain. We have Fin Fang Foom. Fin Fang Foom is just one of those really funny characters that I think deserves a little love, and I think will definitely get a lot more recognition after Shang-Chi comes out. So he's a big dragon character, really, really interesting. Could have a really interesting moveset if they do it right, but I definitely just wanted not necessarily like a joke character, but just a big funny character here to end out the roster. So that's it. That's my Marvel NetherRealm Marvel Fighting Game roster list. I have 43 characters total, 38 plus 5 DLC. So, let me know what you guys think about my roster down in the comments below. I'm sorry, this is a super long video. This is almost clocking in an hour long. But you know, I just have a lot of characters and a lot of thoughts about these characters. I tried to keep it short and simple, but you know how it goes sometimes. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about these characters that I have. Let me know down in the comments which characters you would have if this is actually going to be true. And yeah, another cool idea that I had that I would love to see if you guys would be interested in is having a Marvel versus DC roster, because that's also a big rumored thing that they might be doing, because they did Injustice and now they got Marvel. There could be a Marvel versus DC fighting game. Personally, I don't think it could happen, but I would love to make a roster and kind of talk about each of the characters that I would include in said roster. So yeah, if you guys would be interested in that, let me know down in the comments below. But other than that, like I said, just let me know what you guys think about my roster. Let me know your roster down in the comments. And without further ado, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. So yeah, take care.